Hey everybody, AJ here, and welcome back to the Eagle Ray channel. We're doing a live stream every Sunday at 2 p.m. and a new video comes out on Wednesdays. So every live stream we're gonna go through kind of the same handful of steps. It's much more informal than the regular video that comes out every week. It's gonna be, first we look at some electric marine news that came out over the past week, and then we're going to do a watch party for the latest Eagle Ray video that came out. After that, we're going to talk about the rules for the most current giveaway. And then if there's any questions at the end in the live chat, I'll take some time to answer any questions. So let's jump right into the news. This one's going to be kind of quick because I'm right in the middle of shooting next week's video. But I wanted to talk about the market size of electric vehicles because I'm always saying how it's a very small boutique market, and some people beg to differ for some reason. What organization just released this report? There's always somebody releasing a report on market size, but in electric marine, it's a little bit interesting because the idea of what defines an electric boat is kind of up in the air right now a little bit. For example, this report just came out that says the electric boat market is slated to grow to $15 billion by 2030. Which struck me immediately when I saw that as, whoa, are you sure? It sounds like a little bit zealous to me. And they say that that's about a 13% growth rate from where we are right now. And again, I was like, whoa, wait, so you think that the electric boat market is like $7 to $8 billion right now? I don't think so. And if you look closely at this press release, I didn't read the entire thing, but the companies that they're listing in it are mostly European boat manufacturers, and that's when I realized, oh, okay, I see what they're doing here, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of this going on in the boating industry. These are just boat manufacturers, and the thing with going electric on a boat is as long as it's a displacement hull, you can do a conversion one-to-one, in a lot of cases a lot easier than you can in a car actually. And so I don't think a lot of these boat manufacturers are doing much of anything that's different from what they were doing in previous years. But now that there are enough electric propulsion systems available, they can kind of get away with saying that they're an electric boat manufacturer now. And so suddenly the market size has gone from maybe a few $1 million a couple of years ago to now all of these boat manufacturers are saying that they're electric boat manufacturers. And so now it's a multi-billion-dollar market all of a sudden. Yeah, I don't know if I buy that, because the market itself, I think if you're actually paying attention to how big the electric market is in marine, I think it's much more honest and accurate to pay attention to the propulsion side of the market, which is, it kind of paints a much different picture. So I pulled up a couple of numbers that I thought were important for what's going on in the market right now. It seems to me that the trolling category is by a vast majority electric, and that the outboard category is by a vast majority still gas. And the numbers kind of bear that out. So the trolling motor market, it looks like, is about $550 million strong, and that's slated to grow about 60%, so it'll be something between 8 to 9 billion, something like that, by around 2030. And then the outboard market, it looks like, is about 11 billion-ish today. I've seen a couple of different sources that say everything from like 9 billion all the way up to 16, 17 billion, depending on what you're counting. But it's obviously at least 20-ish times the size of the troller category. And I'm not sure if some of these reports are including the troller category as part of the overall outboard market. So in the future, I'm going to try and pull more specifics about that so we have an accurate read on what's actually happening in this market. But of the outboards that are out there, I also wasn't able yet to pull up numbers specifically on how much of the outboard market is electric only, but I would venture to guess that it's a tiny, tiny fraction. because because of the sentiment that I see online when I'm talking to people in boating forums and kayaking forums. Generally, if it's troller, it's electric. If it's outboard, almost nobody wants it because it's so expensive still. Um, and so that I think will change because the prices I think are definitely going to be coming down, mostly driven by the electric vehicle market. That'll make the propulsion systems more accessible for outboards. There will be some market share shifting over from gas outboards to electric outboards, but I think we're going to see a lot less of that than in the car market uh, by 2030-ish. Maybe it'll happen in a stronger way after that, but I think it's going to take a long time in boats. But since the troller category is already almost 100% electric, it's kind of splitting hairs in my opinion. Like the matter of degree is important if you're manufacturing electric outboards. But as far as like from a retail perspective, if you own a boat shop or a tackle shop or something like that, you're wondering what you should be carrying. You really just have to listen to the customer. And the customer right now, in large part, I think, is saying, for trollers, we want electric. For tiny outboards, maybe electric, but for sizable outboards, obviously still gas. And so the size of the electric market, I think then the accurate way to look at it is, if you look at the size of the troller market, you have an idea of how big the electric market is right now. So the overall outboard market is about 15 billion-ish. Then the troller market is like a 20th of that right now. So it has lots of room to grow. So it could possibly grow by several $billions over the next few years. If people begin to adopt electric outboards, but it is a very tiny boutique market right now. When you see figures like $15 billion in the electric boat market, like I saw here, don't believe everything that you see in a headline like that, because that is a little bit disingenuous in my opinion. So that's what I wanted to talk about with regard to news today. We've got a quick news cycle because I want to get to the latest video that came out. So I finally was able to launch a promo video for the Yaktoon series, because I just finished uploading the final video from the Yaktoon series just a few days ago on Wednesday. And I've been experimenting, as you can see. Let me make sure I'm not standing here. I'm going to get a little bit lower so that you... over there. I'm still not good at this weatherman stuff yet. So the first video in the series has been knocked down to the second row, because I have finally enough videos on my channel where I have 2 rows of videos now. So first video's there, second video is there, third video's there, fourth video, and the 5th video is the one that just came out. You can see I've been experimenting with the thumbnails. I don't really know what I'm doing with thumbnails. I'm just kind of trying to throw things out there and see what sticks. But as I go, it seems to me it's generally better to use fewer words of text on the thumbnail. I think the one that I just launched this week is probably the cleanest thumbnail so far. The 5th video there, where I've just got a couple of words on the left-hand corner, that's the video that came out a couple of days ago. In previous live streams, we've watched all of these, so you can go back to these if you haven't seen them yet. But we're about to jump into the 5th video in the series, the one that says, "Will it fit?" Because this last video was all about me trying to get the boat easily loaded into the back of my truck, because I didn't want to have to use a trailer for this boat. It's only 8 feet long. It's pretty light. Like I can't lift it off the ground, but I can pick it up from one side and roll it pretty easily. And it's not quite heavy enough to bother with a trailer, but it is heavy enough that it's awkward to put in the truck. So let's look at the details of that in the video together, and I'll try and jump in and add some commentary where it's appropriate.
In the last video, we finished the world's cheapest electric boat. In this video, we're going to make sure this thing fits easily into the back of my truck.
Push the wrong button.
Hey everybody, AJ here, and welcome back to the Eagle Ray channel where we do all things DIY electric boats. Marine motors, batteries, solar panels, you name it. If it's got volts and it's on a boat, you're in the right place. Recently, we had some trouble fitting the new project boat, the Yaktoon, into the back of my truck. It was fitting just fine when we started, but last week we changed the brackets in the front, and so now the kayaks sit a little bit wider apart, and that means that it won't slide into the truck bed anymore. So we're gonna fix that today, but there's also a couple other things that are making this boat really hard to use. Why don't we take a look? This thing is way harder to put into the truck than I thought it was gonna be, and here's why. It's not because it's that heavy. It's actually just because it's really awkward. See, I'm trapped between the kayaks right now, and if I try and slip out of the way, oh, I lose all my lifting leverage. See, I can't even get it up there. Also, you remember when I said this from a few weeks ago? Well, we're not sinking yet. I think we can call the waterproofing a tentative success. After all of that waterproofing, we are still getting intrusion into these kayaks. It's not so bad. It's like half a gallon per hour, so I can be out on the lake for a couple hours without any trouble, but I can't be out all day, and that is a real problem because I need to start testing batteries soon. For example, if I bring this bad boy out to the lake and I discharge it all the way to 0%, I'm gonna sink before I finish that test. This is not okay. I've got to conquer this problem once and for all, so I'm bringing out the big guns. This week we're installing bilge pumps into both of these kayaks. Water intrusion shall not pass! So you know what time it is. It's time to build stuff. A ramp that I bought from Lowe's a long time ago, I've got two of these. With all of these perforations in this aluminum, there's gonna be a lot of scratches on the underside of the kayak. Particle board attachments that will insert into these holes, so it'll kind of lock the board into place and wrap it in carpet so that it's nice and soft for those. Funny story about these ramps that you were just looking at. I bought those like 2 years ago. I bought them because I bought the truck that you always see in the background in my garage. I originally bought that truck as a project truck that kind of has just been collecting dust. But it was originally running and I bought it from a guy in Oklahoma. I drove across the country in order to buy it for a really cheap price. It wasn't running very well, but I was hoping to be able to get there on my motorcycle, buy a ramp, drive the motorcycle up the ramp, and then drive the truck home. And that didn't work out at all because I bought those ramps from Lowe's and the truck bed ended up being way higher than I was expecting. Like it was like 6 inches higher off the ground than I thought it was going to be. So I actually, in the parking lot of Lowe's, I drove the truck's front wheels up onto the curb to try and get the angle better. And then I tried to get my motorcycle up those ramps, and I almost dumped my Harley on 5 feet off of the truck bed onto the pavement. Just barely caught it without setting it down. So that was an adventure. I ended up having to drive my motorcycle all the way back to the West Coast and then fly out there to get the truck. And so ever since then, I've been looking for a way to repurpose these ramps. And when I built the Yaktoon, it was like, oh, that's a perfect way to repurpose these ramps. Let's try this. I think I will be buying a router in the pretty near future. Oh, it fits like a key. Sweet. I'm not sure if this felt carpet is the best move. It's actually just U-Haul carpet that I had lying around. I moved here to Lake Havasu using that carpet, and I think I had accidentally purchased it instead of renting it. I think they just throw a few sheets in the back, but I needed a bunch, and so I had to pay extra for them.
And then they told me to keep them afterwards. I thought I was just renting them, but they were mine. So I didn't really need them for anything anymore after that, so I'm trying them out as bunk covers, but I don't know if they'll hold up in either freshwater or saltwater. Mostly I'm dealing with freshwater in Havasu, but I am going to be going back to the West Coast sometimes for some of my boat projects. So hopefully they last at least a few years before I have to do this again.
This is a tiny electric motor. This is supposed to have a manual and an automatic mode. I mostly wanted these for manual mode anyway. The automatic works on only one of these. Manual works on both of them, so I will still be installing these, but I can't recommend this product because one of them showed up faulty. Black wire to black, brown to red is automatic mode. After a few seconds, we should see it activate all on its own because it has a water level sensor. Putting in water, not sure how deep it needs to be submerged. I think I read in the manual it has to be about 1.25 inches. It's about that right now. This may be the faulty one. That one seems to be faulty.
Yeah, that one is not faulty. The weird thing about those sensors is it says 1.25 inches. It's more like 3 inches. You've got to get that thing all the way underwater. Otherwise, it's not going to pump auto. And that doesn't really work in a kayak anyway. Like, I'm not sure how many of you guys actually put bilge pumps inside kayaks. I've never really seen that before in any of the forums online. Everybody's using them in their John boats. But in a kayak, it's pretty tough to get one, a regular one, to fit, period. And that's why I went with these smaller ones, obviously. But hit me up with a comment if you guys have ever put a bilge pump in a kayak before.
No, it only has one speed setting, 650 gallons per hour. That's what we were seeing when we had this in manual mode, with 650 gallons per hour. This is much less than 650 gallons per hour, and here's how I can tell.
This one's definitely broken.
Look at this. See, it's not even able to pump the water out unless I tilt it. See, there it goes. It got some pressure built up inside, and it was able to pump a little bit. That's automatic mode. So if that were the only mode, I would have to send this back because it is just dead on arrival. Last time I tried this was working just fine. And there it is. That is exactly what we need.
If anyone's watching this hasn't seen the previous video that came out week before last, I originally used these little plastic pieces to try and hold the brackets on the bow side of the kayak to the deck above. So there was a piece of aluminum that tried to slot into those plastic pieces. Soon as I put the boat in the truck, those plastic pieces just broke right off. So I had to replace that with full aluminum in the front. But those plastic pieces, I think if they had been bigger, they would have worked better. But they do seem to work great to hold the bilge pumps because those are a whole lot lighter, carrying way less load than the brackets that hold the deck.
It's not battery powered. It's supposed to plug into an AC outlet. Enter the Milwaukee top off, which is just that big. Then you have an AC outlet. You also have back to DC if you need USB off of these. These are pretty cool. Puts out up to 150 watts if I remember right, and this thing I think takes 80 watts, so it should be plenty to power this.
I never want to reach into a hole that small to do anything inside a kayak again. The way I would do this, like you guys, if you've watched the whole series, you've seen me cut into these kayaks just over and over. Small holes, big holes, just whatever, all those patches in the back, just one hole after another. Real pain in the butt. The way I would do it next time is I would skip all of this like hardcore waterproofing stuff. I'd do a little bit of waterproofing, maybe with the same JB water weld from the beginning. But right from the beginning, as I'm making bolt holes, I would go in and put the bilge pumps in right away with that one big hole in the back, and then patch it once and be done with it.
Switch on, switch off like a light bulb. but I do have these single pull double throw switches, which just give you two options. You can throw to one side or throw to the other. What I would do is use one of these tabs on for auto, off for the bilge pumps are totally off, no power going to them ever, and then the other option is manual. But because one of those auto modes is broken, I'm not actually going to use the second option here. I'm just going to use this as a single pull, single throw right now. But these will be on board ready to go in case I decide to fix that bilge pump in the future. Honestly, I never remember exactly how they're wired, so what I'm going to do right now is test continuity on this. That little Wi-Fi symbol, that's the continuity symbol. You should get a beep anytime you have a circuit that makes a connection between these 2 points. The center pin is always neutral, so if we go here to here, we should get no connection. And then I think if we throw this upward, we should hear a beep now. Nope. There it is. Okay, so you throw the first pin up, and the pin on the opposite side is actually active. And you throw down, and it should be the other side is active.
Quick side note, I was just yesterday looking online at a handful of PWM products that you can buy on Amazon. A lot of the guys in the kayak forums are looking for PWMs. And so I was looking at a bunch of them, and they all use that exact same switch that I was just working with. I'm gonna buy a few different PWMs and test them out along with some of the trollers that I've got here. But I think what I'd like to do sooner rather than later is build one from scratch on the Arduino platform, and I'll probably end up using that exact same wire when I do that too. I'm going to do more elaborate wiring diagrams in the future, because if you've ever done any wiring on your boat, you've probably seen much more complicated stuff than what I just showed there. But what I showed there is very basic minimum viable product to get the job done. But that's not usually what you would see on a boat. What you'd usually see is all of that kind of wiring goes to the back of a switch panel, where things start to look a lot more complicated because there's a bunch of what you just saw happening for all the different things on the boat all in the same place. So we'll get to more complex wiring design stuff like that in the future on this channel.
There wasn't enough pressure left at the pump to keep pressing, so I think it might be close to empty, but I'm going to lift it right now because I lifted it right before we did this to confirm about how heavy it was. So if it's about that same weight again, yeah, I think it got most of it. Let's test the second one to be sure. There we go. Oh, I pushed the wrong button.
The maximum amount that these bilge pumps can get out of the kayaks, by the way, is not everything by a long shot. There's like 4 or 5 gallons that are still in there. Because if you look at the back of those kayaks, they form like mini pontoons toward the back. And so if there's water in both of them, the bilge pump is only on one side and you can only get half of it. So there's a good couple gallons on one kayak, a good couple gallons on the other. When you lift that, that's another 30 to 40 pounds as you're trying to push the thing into the truck. And that's why this is an even bigger problem.
It's on video one day, I just need a little more time to get that working. So as it stands, it's actually pretty easy for me to push the boat up the ramp manually. But I couldn't be happier with the...
We kind of just blew past the part with the winch, but basically I tried to install a winch in the back of the truck. It didn't work well because I couldn't figure out where the best place to mount it was. I basically just tried to ratchet strap it. I drilled a couple holes in the bottom and hooked ratchet straps to that, and it wouldn't spool in quite straight. and so it's wrapped around its own drum and kind of jammed itself up. So I've got to fix the winch and figure out a way to like fix it so that it's at a perfect angle.
That is it for the Yaktoon series, guys. I have so many ideas for things I still want to do to change this boat, but we're going to have to move on to motor and battery tests next week, because next week we're testing this motor and this battery together. We're going to see what they can do on the test bench, and then we're going to take them out to the lake and see if they perform similarly in the real world. Thanks so much for watching my first...
And that is what's coming up this coming Wednesday. So we've got our first motor battery combo test on the test bench. It's the Chins 12-volt 100 amp hour and the Endura, the Minn Kota Endura 30 pound. I was just looking up online, the Minn Kota makes a whole bunch of sizes for the Endura. They call it the Max when they go above the smallest one. And they make like 4 different sizes at that upper range. So I'm going to get to all of those one day. I want to test basically every troller in the market and every electric outboard in the market. But it's going to take a long time to get to all of them because I'm going to be doing a bunch of DIY stuff where you guys can see, well, if I buy this motor or I build one from scratch that's exactly the same specs, what's the price difference and how much work is it? Because all of that is really important information right now, because you guys are going to find, as I start building some of these projects, it is so much ridiculously cheaper to DIY this stuff than it is to buy it off the shelf. These prices that electric marine companies have to charge because the market's so small, they're not giving any bulk discounts because nobody's buying these in bulk yet. So DIY is the absolute best way to go on price. If you're a cheapskate like I am, you got to go DIY with this stuff. So we're gonna wrap up pretty soon, but I want to give a quick little shout out to the giveaway like I usually do, and you can find that in the description of every video where a giveaway is running. It'll be at the bottom of the description. Right now we're doing the Milwaukee angle grinder giveaway. I'm gonna open that up just by copying the link from the description. And we've got Milwaukee angle grinder giveaway rules. I go over this on every live stream, so you guys have probably seen this before. Anybody who's new, I want you to know the eligibility requirements for when I give away this cordless 18-volt Milwaukee angle grinder. How do you qualify for this? So we're going to be giving it away in a future live stream. Basically, the moment the channel hits 1,000 subscribers, the very next live stream after that, I'm going to give this away live. And so if you're in that live stream and you're a subscriber, you are up to win. And there's a couple of other requirements here. It's very simple. 16 years of age, you got to have a shipping address in the lower 48 United States. You need to be in control of the YouTube account that you're in the live stream with. And the email address that is connected to that account in some way. It doesn't have to be the email address that you signed up for that YouTube account with, but it has to be an email address that you can prove you have control of. Because if it's not connected to your YouTube account, then I'm going to send you a code at that email, and you're going to have to post that code in the live chat so that I can see that that's your email address. And then you'll get the Milwaukee angle grinder in the mail. Now, if you anybody who's kind of new to power tools, it's important to know I'm not a power tools expert. I used to be a computer programmer until a couple years ago. I decided to start this channel because I was stuck in a cubicle writing code all day long in LA, working in the entertainment industry. I was working at some of the biggest VFX studios, building virtual reality software. And I got so tired of being trapped in a cubicle all day when the beach was a half an hour away. I wanted to be on the water. And it felt like as I saved all my money, every dollar I was trying to save to eventually be able to buy a house near the beach, it seemed like it was going to remain impossible because of the way the house prices were ballooning in LA. And so I decided I got to get out of here, got to go somewhere else nearby where there's a nice big body of water where I can enjoy myself. So that's why I'm now in Havasu, starting this YouTube channel. And I had to learn a bunch about power tools in order to start working on boat projects. And so one of my first tools was a Milwaukee angle grinder. This is not a sponsored giveaway or anything. I just like their tools a lot. I've bought a bunch of their tools in the past 2 years. This is one of the first ones I bought because you can cut metal with it, you can polish metal with it, you can strip paint off of metal with it. Basically anything you want to do with metal. Angle grinder is your go-to tool. Some of you probably already know all of this, but if you have one that's not cordless, this one's one of the best cordless ones out there. So if you want to win this thing, stick around. Let people know about the channel. I appreciate you watching this far. Because it's early days, you probably noticed there's not a lot of people watching yet. But I am going to be doing this every week. I'm dedicated to this channel for the future. Every week there's going to be a new video coming out on Wednesday. Every Sunday there's going to be a new live stream. So rest assured, if you're watching this after the fact, you can come back this Sunday and I will be here. And you can come and chat with me, ask me questions, and we'll have fun nerding out about electric boat stuff. So with that, I'm going to let you guys get going. It's a short one this week, but I got a fun video coming out this Wednesday, and as always, I want to let you know that just the ability to get out on the water, even every once in a while, has completely changed my life. And I hope even if you can only do that for yourself once or twice a year, set aside some time to get it done, because it is one of the best things for my headspace that I've done in the past decade. I felt like I was going stir crazy in LA, just being in a cubicle all day, and now the world feels like my oyster a little bit. So get out and enjoy the weather. If you have a local body of water, get a tiny boat. You can put it together for a very small cost. I just proved that with the Actoon series. And just go have some fun with family and friends, enjoying the incredible views that nature has to offer right in your local area, wherever you live. So I hope you do that. I hope everybody experiences a piece of that. And with that, I'm going to let you guys go. But I will be back next week. And until then, I hope you boat safe and take care.